All right, welcome back to the Maladjusted Monkeys podcast. I'm Tommy Archer, as usual. The man to my left, some of you know him as Shane Clupp. Some of you may know him as the man who lives in my shadows. It's good to be back, Shane.
Finally.
How many times have I started an episode by saying, it's been a while, it's good to be back?
Every single one?
Yeah, just about every single one. The last time we released an episode only a couple of months ago. With
Crowe, yep.
With Crowe. But as we found out a couple of hours ago when we reviewed all our old episodes, we haven't done a catch-up ep for nearly a year.
Yeah, and I mean, when we did record that was last year when we actually recorded that, but we had to wait to release that one.
The Crowe one?
Yeah, until he was fully discharged.
Yes.
So, yeah, like June, before that, prior to that one, I think it was Hobbsy's, that was June last year.
Yeah, so nearly a year.
Almost a year. And holy fuck, what a year it's been.
What a year it's been. First of all, thank you to our listeners, our viewers, our fans, if I can call you guys that you're just hanging in there with us. No matter, it's been a while since, episodes come out. There's a lot of space, but as you're probably going to find out in this episode, a lot has happened. A lot of good has happened. And then it's safe to say a lot of bad, or,
a fuck ton of bad.
Yeah, we've both kind of been through the ringer. Hey, let's start off with a positive.
Yeah, let's start off on the positive. The best news,
You break the news.
Obviously everyone knows that Maddie was pregnant,
yes.
But we got married in August last year, and we had a beautiful little girl, Marlo, on November 10th.
And yeah, she's like, how old is she now?
She's almost 7 months
Nearly
now.
7 months now.
Yeah.
For me, on the outside, I'm like, hey man, that's gone quick.
Yeah.
Does it feel the same for you, Shane?
No.
No?
Not at all. Holy shit.
It's tough work, isn't it?
Mate. It's been getting harder.
Yep.
I found the first 3 months, a lot easier than now, because I found a lot easier to interpret what she wanted and what she needed, like with the certain sounds that they make, like it's either dirty, nappy, tired, or hungry, or, I found that quite easy and slept most of the time. So that was great. But now she's in a bit of a regression at the moment where she wakes up constantly and she just wants to try and play, and she's getting really frustrated because she wants to do shit, but she's not quite capable of doing shit yet. So.
It's a bit of a trap, because I remember when Boston was born, like the first few days when we got home, I was like, man, this is tough. Then the weeks and the early months, I was like, this is easy, just sleeps all the time. What's everyone complaining about? And then that goes.
This parenting gig.
Yeah, I'm like, I could have 8 of these. And then that goes after a while, and you're just constantly tired, and like you said, you're trying to interpret what they want, and it's tough work.
Yeah.
It's tough work.
But
yeah,
I'm so glad we've done it though. Like, she's definitely given a lot more purpose to my life now, and given me a lot more to live for.
Yes, well, with everything you've been through, and like we said, we'll get to that stuff. I'm glad that you finally have a child in your life, and I knew from the start for you, I'm like, this is going to be a challenge for him. But as it's gone on, as she's gotten older, month by month, I can see that you're getting your head around fatherhood a bit more. And the videos Madison posts on social media where you and Marlo are there together, I can see that.
Yeah, she better stop doing that.
I shouldn't have said it.
I love not going on social media and not seeing it.
I'm glad I do that for you.
Yeah.
You can just see that there's something in your eye when you're playing with her, and you're seeing her, playing on the mat, and I'm watching you in the background of the video, and you're just staring at her, and you can just see how happy you are.
Oh man, like after watching what Madison went through to give birth to her, like such a profound respect for what women go through birth. Yeah. That was hectic. So
well, hey, I was saying we should do a live podcast in the birthing suite.
Oh god. Yeah.
Maybe just audio, not video.
Yeah, not video. Not everyone needs to see
you up,
that.
Mike her up, Mike me and the doctor up,
Yeah. It was pretty quick labor, actually, which isn't actually as good as it sounds, because apparently they don't get the ramp up with dilating and easing into the pain a bit more. So her active labor, I think, was only 2.5 hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. At one point, Marlo's heart rate tanked, so they were about to put in the epidural. Heart rate tanked, so they rushed her into the theatre to do an emergency C-section. By the time they got her in there, the heart rate came back. So then they're like, oh, and then they decide, nah, we'll go natural again.
Yep.
And then they're still trying to put the epidural in. They only got a loading dose in of the epidural.
How were you feeling while this is going on?
Dude, when they rushed her to the theater, I was fucking peaking, but then I was just trying to hold it together for her. Like, yeah, it's fine. They know what they're doing. They're doctors. It's all good. But inside, I was just like, fuck.
You guys better know what you're doing in there.
Yeah, so I had to like scrub up like with all the gear and whatnot. Yeah, went back. The heart rate tanked again. So I ended up having to get the, I can't remember what it's exactly called, but it's like the suction thing to help
Plunger,
sure.
I've watched VR, mate. I know doctors.
So yeah, like I think it was about 2:58 in the morning. She was finally born.
Yep.
Yeah, very proud of Madison. Holy shit,
She's a trooper.
I say this every day, but thank God I have a penis. Cause fuck that.
I say that every day too. Thank God Shane has a penis. And yeah, obviously, yeah, birth of your daughter, and like we said, the wedding as well. Great wedding.
What a wedding.
What an MC, first
What
of all.
an MC.
What an MC they had, may I say. Mate, that was so much fun.
Man, my family still rave about you.
It was such a fun wedding, man.
Yeah.
And both families, you and Madison's, like...
I felt so bad for the what do you call it, like the hostess or the venue manager because of like COVID.
That's right. No one was allowed to stand up and dance.
Yeah, but everyone kept going from table to table to chat. It was like made like having a wedding quite difficult, but it still ended up being quite fun.
Because what month was the wedding in?
August.
So yeah, that's right. COVID was still going on, and still is now, obviously. But that was when things were just opening up, and it's like, all right, you couldn't dance. That's right, dancing wasn't allowed.
Except like me and Madison could have our dance, and that was it.
Yeah,
yeah.
And everyone, if you couldn't walk around, you had to sit and drink. And it's a wedding from people from where are your family from?
Oh, Harvey Bay, Gundawindi.
Like people hard charges, may we say. You throw some free alcohol in there.
Oof.
Good luck keeping everyone sitting down.
Yeah, because we put the initial 3-hour bar tab on, but then after that ran out, it was like my mum threw another 1,000 on. Someone convinced my uncle to throw another 1,000.
After you left,
they guilted him into it.
After you left, the events coordinator came up to me and she's like, "Yep, look, you guys are done. Like the bar's done. You guys have to like vacate this room now." And I was like, "Well, how do we stay?" She said, "Well, the bar tab needs to be, amped up again." And then Curto and Riles are like.
That's right, yeah, Kevin Ross.
So they put, I think the first hit was like 1,000 between them.
Yeah.
And then that ran out like that. She's come back over again. All right, now you're done. And then Roll's like, no, we're not. And then they went another 1,000. So it was good.
Yeah, I'm glad everyone had a good time.
Yeah. It was good. So, like we said, so some good things have happened. And, let's run through your story first. What do you reckon? Where do we start?
Let's start with you. We'll keep. Well, maybe not because all your shit's positive, but yeah, we'll leave my shit to the end. Let's start with you.
All right. Yeah.
Because I remember prior to the wedding, we had a couple of conversations that you were struggling a bit with being on the road and some of the jobs that you had, and you were looking for a bit of a change, getting off the front line. And I know, obviously, we had a couple of conversations since then that you have. You're now working at the academy.
Not the academy itself. It's a new facility that's purely for skills training. So like the driver trainings out there, firearms, physical skills, things like that. So it's a purpose-built facility for the physical skills.
Yeah.
aspect.
So when did you get that gig?
I started there beginning, I'm going to say February, maybe January, February.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we now? May?
Yeah.
So I've only been there a couple of months. It's not my permanent spot at the moment. I still have my spot at my other station, like my general duty station.
Yeah.
But this is definitely...
so this is like a compassionate kind of posting thingy?
It's called like a secondment. They need people out there. They need instructors.
Okay.
So I've been lucky enough to...
So like they need guest instructors down at Singer or something.
Yeah. Kind of like that.
Yep.
So I'm there at the moment. I have been for the last few months and thoroughly enjoying my current role.
Well, I remember once, like a couple of stories you told me about some of the... And sounds really, really amazing that like the training that you guys have developed and are running the new recruits through now.
Yeah.
Like in terms of gearing them up for things they may see out on the job, like fucking awesome.
Yeah. Obviously I won't go into exact training methods that we do, But
Well, it's just nice to know that, you know, the stigma of cotton wool cops is starting to fall away a little bit.
exactly, mate. Look, am I saying since I've got there that cotton wool cops have gone? I'm not saying that's not for me to judge, Shane. Okay, that's for the people out there. No, yeah, the training now, like, you know, when did I go through the academy? 9 years ago, something like that. And that's not that long ago, but it already seems completely different to what I did. Just the things they're focusing on. And so my role exactly is, at the moment, I do the physical skills, so open and closed hand tactics, going hands on with people, taser training, things like that. I'm not a firearms instructor yet. Eventually I'll get into that, and that'd be good as well. But yeah, I've been primarily with recruits, training them on the open and closed hand skills and the taser stuff.
So the correlation between this training and the amount of excessive force used cases against police officers, that you're saying that's a coincidence, or
again, okay, it's not for me to say. All right. You threw me with that one, mate. No, but so generally data, like my week is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Because like when you're on the road, your hours are like fucking all over the place. Eh?
Yeah, so I don't do shift work now, which is
it's like 9 to 5 ish.
I pick my hours depending on the weeks I have my son and stuff, but it's business hours.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You know, Monday to Friday, my weekends off, and I guess if we go back and start from the beginning, you know, the catalyst to bring me there, like you alluded to before, end of last year. I was just burning out again. You know, how many times have I been on here and we've talked about that? And I think it was getting to a point where I'm like, okay, something needs to change. I can't keep living like this.
It's something we've brought up a few times, like about the identity. And I think we've always talked about it in terms of like that army identity and like being so attached to that identity. Do you feel like you were doing the same thing with the coppers, like looking back now?
Yeah, in a way, because I think, you know, when we talk about the army identity, that grows in terms of, you know, guys who can't let go of the job, and even when they're not working, they look like they look like soldiers, or they talk about stuff like that. I don't think in the last few years I've had an issue in terms of, you know, switching off outside of work, but I think a lot of my focus was like, you know, there was a specific role I've been trying to get to for the last few years. I put so much pressure on myself that is what I need to get to. So every time at work, I'm thinking about that. How can I get into that role? Training I need to do for that. And then, you know, I think I've just waited around for so long and waiting for that opportunity to come up. I was getting sick of, A, the shift work, you know. B, you know, I've got a son I have every second week. And with shift work, by the time, you know, my son comes to me, I'm tired as well.
So I suppose it's lucky that you have your old man living with you to give you that help, because otherwise, like, how would you even do that?
It'd be hard. It'd be so hard.
I mean, it blows my mind how, like, certain high performing people that you meet, like in the army, in the police, or in any job capacity, how they manage like that family life and that work life, but still maintain a high standard is fucking insane to me.
And like those people,
it's like such a whole new appreciation for that.
There's a very small percentage that are like that.
Yeah,
the guys normally that are all high performance in their job aren't very good in their family life.
And
I've never wanted to be like that.
Yeah, it's to the detriment.
Yeah,
of
that's right. Life. I've never wanted to be like that. So yeah, like taking all those factors in, and then me thinking, you know, what do I really want to do here? Like, do I want to be someone where work is my constant focus? So then I started doing things outside of work. I took up acting, which is very kind of left field. I guess doing this stuff kind of.
Oh my God, yes. Dude, I tell you what, it's been really nice is every time the few times that I leave the house, I get to see the back of your head on billboards all over the place. It's gold. It makes my day.
Kick it off, yeah. So in the last year or beginning of this year, I did a commercial, the RSL campaign, Queensland RSL's new ad.
So I think we've talked about before. You've done a beer.
Did a beer commercial last year. I know we talked about it on here actually, but yeah. So yeah, I started acting about 12 months ago. Another ex-military mate got me into it, who's an actor. But yeah, through that, I've done a couple of short student films for experience. Did a beer ad for Ballistic Brewing last year, and then managed to land a little role in Queensland RSL's campaign. So Yeah, you can see that on, I think,
every fucking billboard, dude. Like
on billboards, magazines.
Between here and Enoggera at the Bays, there's like 3.
Oh, really? Yeah, I think
It's-
Madison sent me. Yeah, there's a couple out at Ipswich as well, on TV and stuff, which is cool. The only gripe I have.
Okay.
You know what I'm going to say?
No.
So, I'm playing a veteran in the role,
Bit of a stretch, but yeah.
a bit of a stretch. we have to represent all branches of the military.
Okay.
Obviously, I'm former army.
Yeah.
I'd like to represent the army.
What'd you get lumped
that
with?
role was taken. No disrespect to my Air Force brethren. I had to represent the Air Force. Okay. That's cool. Hey, that's cool. But I had my hat backwards in it.
Very Air Force.
That's what I was like, you fly boys. That's the only guy. But no, it was cool. Such a cool experience. And I'm glad, with the stuff obviously we do with veterans, mental health, it's cool to be able to be part of the RSL campaign. Because the ad itself, the campaign itself, is about the mental health stuff and looking after our vets. And, so it's cool to actually be a part of something that is close to my heart and that I am passionate about. So how do I get started on that? Oh, which is back to the police thing. Once I started doing things outside of the job that I realized...
finding things outside. Outside
which is what we've always said. Find what you like to fuck with. It took a while.
Episode 1.
Episode 1.
God, that's so poignant that was the first episode. It's like the thing we always come back to.
And it's like the main
But we
message.
don't learn that lesson.
We
never learn that lesson. Well, you're starting to.
No, well, hey, if we learned the lesson, we wouldn't have a show.
Yeah.
So you've got to keep dragging
You're
it out.
welcome.
But once I've started thinking, all right, what is more important to me? Work or a happy life? Things with my son and, doing the things outside of work that I love.
I remember vividly the amount you saying, when you're on your deathbed or and you're looking back and what's going to be more important to you, or even more poignantly, what's your son going to remember? Like, he's not going to be like, oh yeah, cool, my dad was a cop and he spent 14 hours a day at work and he was the biggest badass. He's like, no, he's going to remember dad was never home, dad missed
this
40.
footy game. And I don't want to be like that. And the other thing that was sticking in my head when I was starting to get stressed out and, struggling at work, like I'd be going to work just depressed on the drive there and anxious.
Yep.
And I started thinking, for however many years I've served, and I'm adding police and army together, 10 plus years of service, what have I gotten back for that? You know what I mean? Like, I love serving. I'm glad I could serve my country in the green uniform. What
do you mean? You got material for a podcast.
Hey, that's true. Obviously no detriment to my own health. What have I gotten back for that? I've focused on that serving so much, but have I really taken any time for myself or done what makes me happy? I think that the stuff in the job makes me happy, but those are just work goals. Yeah,
and I think that's important. Is it's a pursuit, it's goals, and it's constantly chasing those things. And it's like, well, every time you've hit one of those milestones, you're setting yourself a new milestone, and you just keep chasing it just as hard.
Yeah,
it's like,
I never settle on a goal.
I'll take a break after I get this. Then you hit that, it's like, fuck, I can't slow down. I got to keep going. I got to get that next thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was where it kind of came to a head for me. And like I said, I was getting burnt out at work. And then eventually, for a short period of time between getting off the road as a general duties officer and going to an instructorial role, spent a few months in a different unit, which is called the Crime Prevention Unit.
Yep.
Which I can't remember if I really told you much about.
Them are vaguely...
And that was
like victim of crimes?
Yeah, speaking of victims of crime, and which when I first requested to go there for a little bit, because I just needed a break. Everyone's reaction was, you don't want to go there. You're going to be... There's no action. You're going to miss the action. I'm like, I think I need no action for a little bit. But working out there, that team was great. I got to see a different side of policing. Most of the times I go to these jobs, go on a break-in-enters or assaults or whatever, and it's all happening so quick, and then I'm on to the next job. It's almost like you forget about it because you go to the next job, but with crime prevention, you're actually talking to the victims, making them feel safer.
I guess you're seeing like the aftermath, the whole different side of that crime. Like it's still afterwards, but it's like the proper fallout.
Yeah. And hearing people, like most people, they're just happy that police officers are either visiting them or talking to them after whatever they've been through, and just spending time listening to them And half the phone calls I made, or if I visit people, the end of it, they're like, "Hey, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me."
Oh, that's good. Because I would have thought it'd almost be like being a Centrelink call center person where like you're just copying abuse all the time.
No, nothing like that.
Oh, that's good.
You know, you're there asking them if there's anything else they need from us that we can help you with, and making them feel at ease. And you know, you go out if they've been broken into, you go talking about home security and give them ideas and things like that. So all the conversations were pretty pleasant, and it was interesting for me because it's slowing everything down. I'm used to working at a different pace. It was just slowing everything down and going, I'm just talking to people. Will
you get like, I guess it would have been different, but like a sense of satisfaction getting...
Yeah, I was actually. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
I was, because those interactions were positive. So at the end of it, I'm like, oh, well, you know, they're happy with what police have done, and they've told me they feel better after I speak to them. Oh, that was cool. And just working with a new team of people that, you know, probably different to who I'm used to working with, was good. So I did that for a few months, and then eventually got a chance to go out to this skills instructorial role, which I'm doing now. And I love it, mate. Like, it's so good.
Yeah, like the few brief conversations that we had, every time we've had a chat about it, you're very excited and very passionate
about
what you're doing.
Yeah, and it's good because like I'm excited going to work every day again, and I'm rocking up to work early, staying back a little bit just to talk to everyone. I work with an awesome team, and the skills that I instruct is stuff that I'm passionate about. You know, like my background with martial arts and stuff like that. There's aspects of that in the stuff I'm teaching recruits.
Yeah.
The days that I do a couple of days, the beginning of the week, where it's in-service training, so police officers coming for their yearly requal. Now, those are hard days, my friend.
Why is that?
Well, if you can imagine police officers who've got other things they're worried about.
Oh, they got research. Saying it. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a research.
Yeah.
Look, I love you guys. I get it. All right. But it's funny because the centre we're working in is brand new. Okay. So before this was built, for everyone in the Brisbane region, you do yearly requals at kind of like a local, how can I explain this? A local office, with people you know. And it's other officers like myself that were part-time instructors. We go over, teams rock up every day, and then we do your requals. And you know each other, and it's a bit of like, not a tick in the box kind of thing, but it's a...
Yeah, I know what you mean.
The level of instruction probably wasn't as...
it doesn't lend itself to being the best that it could be.
Yeah. And as a thing with firearms training, a lot of people don't like... It's very much like the military. You know, when it was range days, guys hated range days.
Because of how regimented it is.
Regimented, and I guess for people who, you know, not everyone enjoys firing firearms, there's a lot of stress that comes with it because it's a dangerous thing if handled incorrectly. So there's people who don't always feel comfortable with it because we don't get to use it, you know, all the time. So on training days, there's a stigma. You can feel negative energy when people arrive at training. So with this new centre, all these guys that are coming through, it's a brand new building. The way it's set up it's schmick, right? They walk in, beginning of the day, I'll take the first session or whatever. So there's three, it's kind of like a bull ring for those in the military.
Yep.
You know, bull ring training, you go from one group of training, then you go to the next.
So it'll be like hand-to-hand combat here, dealing...
Firearms here, taser here, whatever. And you do that throughout the day. You just move from one group to the next, right? Beginning of the day, it's so hard to like get any interaction out of in-service coppers. They're jaded, they're disgruntled, they don't want to be there.
Shut the fuck up, hurry up, get me the fuck out.
Shut the fuck up, I don't want to hear what you have to say. Just tick the box so I can leave, right? But they have to stay there all day. This will take as long as it takes, you know what I mean? Each session will have you for 2 hours, whatever. So beginning of the day, negative attitude, and it's tough go, particularly Monday morning. By the end of the day, everyone's like, oh man, this is great training, this is great facility.
Yeah, because you got to break down that stigma of how they've been doing things for so long, and that expectation of like, because I think what it is because like you've got limited resources at your local station, and then limited like areas. You know the building. You know what's going on around you.
Exactly right. So beforehand, depending on where you're stationed, when you do your requals in your district, the resources and facilities aren't schmick. It's wherever you can find space in a station or wherever to do this training. So, you know, if you're doing your requal, it's kind of like, okay, yep, play the game, whatever. Now they come out to this brand new purpose-built facility. Everything's, you know, as far as they can see, everything's running smoothly, blah, blah, blah. They're amazed by the end of the day, like, oh my God, this is the best training facility. Yeah. And the quality of instruction is really good too. So yeah, at the end of the day, most people say, oh, I've really enjoyed today, and it'd be good if we did more training, which I've never heard that before.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's what I'm enjoying about it now.
It's definitely a similar issue in the army when you're doing like even like especially training on base. Is that there's a certain amount of complacency because you've been in that exact same area hundreds of times. You know where the layout of everything, and when you go to somewhere that's different in a different location and someone's actually put a bit of effort into designing realistic scenarios and not just going by the numbers, the same fucking shit you've done a million times, or that's when all of a sudden, holy fuck, okay, cool. I remember why I joined up to do this job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I love seeing that attitude change halfway through the day. And with with what's happened in the last 12 months with policing overseas and everything, so much emphasis has to be on training.
Yeah.
We've been lucky with the Queensland Police Service has always had really good training, really good police officers. We're ahead of the game. But now that we have this purpose-built facility for it.
That's if you're not draining something, every other day, it's never going to become muscle memory. And when you get into a situation where the heart's racing and you got all that adrenaline running through your body, like you need that instinctual reactions, and they need to be the right ones, because otherwise you're just going to get fucked over by the media and everything else, and people that don't understand what it's like to work in that kind of environment with the amount of pressure that.
And that's another thing I'm enjoying about when we have the recruit days, is you're taking a product or a person. Product. Sorry. Well, it is a product in a way, you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You know what I'm saying. Someone's going to take that fucking sound grab of that and turn it into something else. You're taking a person who knows nothing about policing, has never done any of these skills, and you're teaching them, and, as soon as you teach them one skill, it's terrible. Over time, you're seeing it get better and better and better, and we're constantly throwing heaps of different skills at them every single day. You can see they're overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And it is hard. And then you throw them into a scenario, and they're like, you can see they're like, I'm not going to remember anything. And then all of a sudden, because they've done so many reps of it, it just happens.
Yep.
And they can't articulate why their body moved a certain way. It's like, it's because you've done so many reps of it before we put you into these situations. That's what we want, muscle memory. So it just happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get a lot out of my current role, dude. I love it.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah. But apart from that, I guess the hardest part for me was mid last year to the end before I transitioned.
So this is going to be a permanent.
That's what I'm hoping. This is now what I want to do with my career in the police service.
So you've got to go through some kind of application process, or
just
wait for a posting cycle to end?
Yeah, basically, yeah. Just wait for a position. But this is what I want to do now. Which is so strange because 12 months ago, I would have said that other role because that's what I've been doing for the last few years. Going, I've got to get to this, and I didn't even think about anything else. Yeah,
it's funny because I had a similar thing where it's like you really want to operate at a high level with other people that operate at a high level and actually do the job. And then it might not be the same for you, but you start to notice that at a foundational level, there's a lot missing. We haven't got locked down our foundational skills to be able to do that high end stuff. And so for me, I started doing the same thing, switching my focus from, all right, I just want to get myself to a certain place to how can I change the training or put up suggestions to make the training a lot better.
I keep forgetting that you've been in a training role very similar to what I'm doing now
for
a while.
Yeah.
When you started that, how passionate you were about that.
Yeah. Because you can see just how much better it can be if someone just puts in a little effort. Not to say that the people that came before me weren't putting in the effort, but it was a lot easier for me being a digger without the actual responsibilities of that job. Like people didn't really expect me to, be across everything or know everything. So I had a lot more freedom in what I needed to do. And the warrant office and stuff still had to do all the fucking admin side of the house and had a lot of other shit to worry about where I didn't. So I got given a lot of free reign to come up with a lot of different things, which was great. But I think just realizing that, from that, it's not that I raised that as a suggestion, but what naturally happened from that was now there's always at least one or two diggers or corporals posted into that training certification position now to assist with that, because it just frees up a lot more time for that kind of stuff to come out, which is really good.
Well, when you move into a training role, you start to see the job from a different angle, completely different angle.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you and me are very much the same. It probably reignites a spark in you because you're doing something completely different.
Yeah.
It still can be.
It's like it's almost it's an act of creation as well, like because you're creating something, which is really
There's parts of me now where I'm like, I still miss being on the road and miss the action and stuff. But now I'm like, well, why not the experiences I've had? I can use that.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I guess we've all got to grow up at some point. And you can't
Not be Peter Pan forever.
Yeah, we can't all be football stars. At some point we have to let that go if you hit your fucking 30s and you haven't quite made fucking B grade yet or whatever. So at some point you've got to not to say you weren't.
I was like, what are you saying?
I'm not saying that you weren't good at your job on the road, but a lot of other things come into it. Kids, your body, your mental health. At a certain point you need to realize, like, I need to refocus my energies while I've still got energy left in me or something left in me to give. Otherwise, you're just going to become more jaded, hate the job, and become even more depressed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny, like, talking about the jade and everything. A lot of the recruits, they all ask me for advice. Like, when I get out to my station, what's like one bit of advice you can give me? And I think they're all expecting me to give them, like, operational advice. But I'll try not to give that because you're your own police officer, you have your own style. So the only advice I give them, and I don't think it makes sense to a lot of them yet when I say it, is don't let the job be everything. Whatever hobbies you have now, keep them.
Yeah.
Whatever friends you have outside the police, keep them.
Yeah.
All
Because this doesn't last forever.
No. And we went through that. We've talked about it many times with the military. It doesn't last forever.
Yeah.
And it's the same with any job, really. You've got to have external things outside the job.
Yeah, because as close as you are with your friends from work, especially in the military, when you do move on, like, you're still going to remain close to them, but you're not going to work with them every day. Like, the dynamic changes. You're still friends, but it's a very different dynamic, and you're not going to be getting that same level of interaction and get that from them anymore. So. You definitely need to have. That's really good advice. Actually, I should write that down.
But mate, that's pretty much in a nutshell.
No, tell me more.
I feel like, are you delaying something here? The only other cool thing was the fact that we've recently had Anzac Day, obviously.
Oh yeah.
And my old high school, Sheldon College, they invited me to come out as the guest speaker for Anzac Day to talk about my time in the military, but also they wanted me to talk about the podcast, and the mental health aspect. So I went out there and did like a 20-minute speech, covering the Afghanistan stuff, covering what I do in the police, and a lot of the mental health stuff that I've been through that you guys who watch and listen, are all over. Went out and did that to the whole school from preschool, so I feel sorry for those guys. They're probably traumatized now, up to year 12, and a lot of like community members who don't have kids at the school or anything, who just Sheldon College does do great events, and apparently in the community they've all heard how good their Anzac Day ceremonies are. So a lot of community members who just wanted to come along.
That's awesome.
Were there too. So yeah, got to go out and do that.
Because you only just I only just seen the video prior to us coming in to record.
Yeah.
I'll say it again. Was a great speech. I was holding back tears listening to it on the phone. It's something I wish I'd hear more whenever I go to services. It was a commemoration, not a celebration of what had happened or of war or anything like that. You did really, really well, man. I don't know how the fuck you got up and spoke in front of all those people.
I'm used to that stuff. Yeah. Anyway, but also, like I told you, once I got up there were that many bright lights and everyone was like in darkness. It looked like there was no one there. So I just talked, read the thing, got off stage.
No,
that was it. So, but it was great to go back out, and still so many teachers that are still there from when I was there. No one's changed today, and it was great to catch up with them. And the big thing for me was I wanted to go see my old film and media teacher.
Yeah, because I think you're telling me that he still has a project that you did or something.
He still has all my stuff.
So this is acting and
So when I was in high school, that's when I first started. I've been a massive film fan, and ever since I was like 5 or 6 years old, love everything to do with film. Which is probably why I'm now getting into acting and things like that now. But when I was in high school, I started film and media, and made 4 or 5 little projects or whatever. One of which got me in a lot of trouble in year 12. I think suspension or expulsion was talked about.
We're not talking about blackface here, are we?
No, mate. No. It was okay then. So I was excited to catch up with Mr. James because he listens to our stuff too, which I didn't know about. So
what a trip.
Yeah, we sat down. We recorded a little interview with him as well for a side project I'm doing with Flynn.
Yep.
And we watched some of my old stuff. It was so really weird to watch as well. Still holds up in my house. But he's told me that he still shows like students now. When did I graduate? 2005. He still shows students my stuff from back then.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so that was like pretty cool to hear.
Wow, that's incredible.
Took me back a bit, very humbling. So it's great to go to Sheldon College, and hopefully I can go back again. They mentioned maybe talk to some of the year 11 and 12 guys about stress and how important mental health is.
Yeah.
That's
great.
Now, mate, you can't hold this up any longer. Strap yourself in, guys. This is going to be heavy, but I will let Shane dictate where this goes and what we talk about.
Fuck, where to begin? I start, I suppose. So early August, I had my EOR, my Explosive Ordnance Reconnaissance course coming up, which is pretty intensive, 3 months down in Sydney, learning the basics of ordnance disposal and search and things like that to start moving up and progressing my career in the EOD world. Which was not great timing because obviously Maddie was heavily pregnant and I wasn't even sure if I was going to be back for the birth. Because I think the course was meant to finish 2 days after she was due.
That's right.
But I was pretty lucky in that the way the last couple of weeks run, they were going to just let me do all my assessments back to back to back, and if I passed all, I could get home early and hopefully get back in time. So I think it was a week before the wedding, which was the 29th of August. My youngest brother suicided. I remember I was, I just finished, I had a dental appointment, so I just got in the car and Dad rang me and, told me what had happened. And, that was pretty fucked, to be honest.
Well, I remember the day it happened. I just finished I was in my own psych appointment, just doing a catch up. I walked out, I checked my phone, I had all these missed calls from you. And obviously I called you back and told me what happened, and I came straight over and
so I went back to work. I told my boss what had happened. He's like, go home, do what you need to do. Went home, you and Riles came over. I bought a bottle of Jamison's on the way home and I was already hooking into that. So that was, what was that? 4 days before the wedding. Flew up to Townsville the next day, to go support Dad. Spent a few days up there with the family, grieving. Flew, cause most, all the family on my side had flown up to obviously deal with that. Flew everyone back. We decided to go ahead with the wedding. We kind of thought it'd be good to have a little bit of a positive, during that time. So we went ahead with it, and I'm glad we did.
Well, just as an example of testament to how strong both you and Maddie's family are. Obviously that was a tough week, and so you got married on the Saturday, right?
Yep.
I remember you only asked me to MC the wedding the Sunday before, right? And I'd already started prepping a whole bunch of jokes for the stuff, and then I got the call of what had happened, and then I didn't think we were going to do the wedding. And it wasn't until probably Thursday you called me and said, we're going to go ahead with Saturday. And I was so nervous on Saturday because the way your wedding was structured, I didn't get to see you before the, we call it reception.
Yeah.
So I was at the reception as all the family were funneling in, and I'm like, man, I don't know what
the vibe is
going to be because this has been a tough week for both families. I'm like, are people even going to be up for a good time?
Yeah.
And celebrate it. And Curto was with me, and I was like, I don't know, should I do the jokes or not? And Curto was like, just do it and see what happens. And I remember because you guys were waiting outside, as soon as I started and I did a few jokes and the reaction was good. And then I said to everyone, how this is a celebration for you two. Should we have a great time? And man, the energy, everyone was cheering. I think it
was sort of what we needed.
And the whole night, both you and Maddie's family were awesome. You could just feel the positive energy. And it's not like anyone was ignoring what had happened.
Yeah.
People were referencing it all the time.
Yeah.
We even had your brother's photo set up on a table with a beer there.
Yeah, and Dad asked us to make sure because Caleb only just turned 18. I think it was a month before. And he just wanted to make sure there was a beer next to his photo. But I don't think the barmaids understood, so they kept taking the beer. I didn't even. So I had to have a word with them, please stop touching the fucking beer.
What did they say when you're?
They're like, oh, sorry. So yeah,
but your both families were.
Yeah, I thought obviously dad was a wreck. Because dad found him in the backyard. So he was pretty bad. But he just he wasn't going to be able to make it. So yeah, we had got through that, had the wedding the next day. 2 days later, we all flew back to Townsville for the funeral. And then, that was fucking tough. And then I had to be back in Brisbane the next day after the funeral to make sure my shit was packed because I told work I didn't want to get pulled off the course. 2 days after his funeral, I was down in Sydney in Orchard Hills starting that course. And
so in a space of 2 weeks, lose your brother, you get married with a heavily pregnant missus. Where was the funeral?
Townsville.
Fly back to Townsville.
Yeah.
Second trip in that week.
Yeah.
Townsville, funeral.
Back
to Brisbane.
Yeah. Fly to Sydney.
Yeah. All in space of less than 2 weeks, right? Yeah. It's a lot.
Yeah. I think I kind of treated it in the same way with Podie's death, because I've never processed that. And then at the time, I remember, getting told, when he passed, I had about 30 seconds of processing time, then switch off, fucking job on. Yep. Got shit to do. So I sort of did the same thing when Caleb passed. I had to look after my dad. I had to look after the family. Threw myself into my work to just do anything I could not to think about it. Because there's a lot of what I've come to realize, a lot of baggage with how since I've come back from Afghanistan, I've sort of distanced myself from my family a lot. It's not that, I don't love them or whatever. It's just I find it very hard to be around them because of how much I've changed. And so there's a lot of guilt in how much time I've lost with my family because of that. And it's the most ironic thing of all is we do this fucking podcast about mental health and suicide prevention and all that. And, my little brother. So flew down to Orchard Hill, started the course. Prior to that, my drinking was a lot better than it had been. I was still, drinking, but wasn't really going out and partying or anything. But after, pretty much from when I first found out Caleb died, every single day in Townsville, every fucking day, back here every fucking day, on course every fucking day. I got to about 4-5 weeks into the course, and I just hit a fucking wall. I didn't tell, like...
How were you performing on the course?
Fine, like,
okay.
I was actually doing really well. It was to the point where I guess I sort of just, I just blocked it all out. And it just threw myself completely into the work. I didn't tell, and like, I don't even know if I don't think the instructor down there knew what had happened. I didn't tell anyone down there. So it was a bit of a shock to them. I think I'm wrong. I think the head guy knew because my hierarchy had told him. So when I kind of had that breakdown down there, I remember just sitting there. I woke up, I could barely drag myself to the classroom, and I just did not care anymore. I didn't care about anything. I went outside, broke down, told my mate Cookie, who's one of the instructors down there who I used to work with here, he's a close mate, and then made a few phone calls, and I made the decision that, and work had told me, it was on the proviso that they'd let me go down there, is that if something goes wrong, something happens, you need to let us know straight away, we'll get you back as soon as we can, we'll support you any way we need to. So, I made the decision, I need to come back. I was trying to keep on a brave face for Madison as well. She's fucking heavily pregnant. She's stressing I'm not going to be back for the baby. And we were both doing the same thing. Like when we talk on the phone, it was like we were both pretending everything was fine. And she's like, I didn't realize at the time, but breaking down every day because I'm not there to fucking help her and she doesn't have a lot of support here. Yeah. And, she does. She has like you guys and her friends and stuff, but it's not the same as having your husband. Having your partner there. Yeah. So when I finally told her, she broke down and told me everything that happened, and I broke down and told her everything that was happening. And I was very lucky that with my OC at the time, he pushed really hard. He's like, whatever you want, we'll do that. Just give me one day, because I want to make sure that you get out of this everything that you need. I want to give you as many options as I can, was the way he put it. And so what actually happened was, because they were happy with how well I was doing on the course, and I'd done pretty much everything that I really needed to do, bar a lot of the big assessments. They were happy for me to go back to Brisbane and let the unit finish off my, a lot of my tests and stuff, which worked out well to get that shit finished. But yeah, so got back to Brisbane, finished all that shit up. Thank God that was over, and then took a bit of leave. My drinking did not improve. I was drinking every day, and I got really bad.
I recall a night when you were on course, I was on night shifts. It must have been 2 a.m. and you called me, and I could tell you were drunk.
Yeah.
But you weren't. I said, "Are you drunk?" You're like, "No, I'm good." I'm like, "Well, it's 2 a.m.
What are you doing up?
Yeah, what are you doing up? And I was worried about you, but then I'm like, well, he's been through a lot in the last couple of weeks, so this is part of the process. Trust the process.
Yeah.
So I didn't really say anything to you. But
the issue was there was no process. There was me blocking everything.
And I didn't want to push you to talk too much. But I remember, it was our chat was good. It was a positive chat. I don't know if you recall it.
No.
You were listening to a lot of our podcasts. Commenting on how hilarious we are. Yeah. more me. Yeah. Anyway. So what happened after that?
What was I saying? Back to Brisbane. Finished the assessments I need to finish. Went on leave. Started hiding my drinking from Madison, so I'd keep beer in the fridge, but I was keeping a bowl of Jameson's in the garage, and I was going through a couple of bottles of that a week, plus the beer. Then Marlo was born on the 10th. That again, like being able to throw myself into that, like seeing how much help Madison needed, because obviously takes a toll off them. So I just threw myself into, like, I was doing all the nights and doing as much as I possibly could with Marlo, and just kept pushing. But then it just hit the point where I had a massive breakdown, and I've realized that if I didn't let someone know what was going on, there was a lot of dark thoughts in my head at that time. So I made an appointment. My plan was, what in my head, how I saw it going down was I was going to come clean about where I was at. The fact that, I don't think I've talked about this on here before, but when I was going through my my psych shit previously, I worked it as hard as I could, but it wasn't going quick enough for me because I, wanted to get back into work. I wanted to progress. I wanted to progress my career. I wanted to be an EOD technician. So I started saying what I needed to say to get through it, get my ticks in the boxes, get upgraded so I could get on this EOR course.
Back then, I had a feeling that was happening.
Yeah.
I remember how you were always passionately talking about work. And it was almost like one day you're like, yeah, no, the doctor said I'm good, I'm cured, sort of thing. And I'm like...
Yeah, that's what my GP, she's like, you're like the poster child for bloody mental health. You're like, you've come good so quick. It's brilliant. So
put that on your resume, mate.
Yeah, so I came clean to her. I didn't go into details about, about what I was thinking too much.
Yeah.
But I think that she could obviously tell how much distress I was in and what was going on. What ended up happening was I got committed to the what's it called? The
RBH, the mental health ward.
The public mental health ward for my own safety, because obviously with Army or with Defence right now, there's a lot going on in the space of veteran suicide and things like that, so they don't want to take chances. So with a 2-week-old daughter, I got locked up in there for a week. Saw some real fucking nut jobs. That was fucked. That place is absolutely fucked. I mean, the staff doing the best that they can there, but that's not a nice place to be. No. There's some very
remember
disturbed people up there.
And obviously, when I was on the road and stuff, take a lot of people to get mental health assessments.
Yeah.
I'm aware what those places are like. That day that happened, because I think a week before you contacted me to admit about you drinking, and then you said you were going to tell Madison and you were going to go back and get help.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, cool. And then I think I finished a shift and I was driving home. I was on the motorway, and my phone was ringing. It was Madison, and I'm like, my heart sank because I'm like, is this the call I've always thought was coming? Because I knew you were in a dark place. So I was nervous to answer, and I answered it, and she was upset, and she told me something's happened with Shane. I'm thinking, fuck, what's going on? So she explained to me, because she didn't really know what was happening.
Yeah.
He's been taken to hospital, and they won't let him go at the moment. I said, look, I'm going to try to call him.
Well, it's lucky that you have that, like you say, you have that experience with it, because you could explain the process to her and to myself, because I think the analogy you used at the time was like a monkey in a cage throwing fucking fixes everywhere, which is what I felt like. Yeah.
When she said he's freaking out because no one's explaining anything to him. No one's telling him what's going on. So I managed to get hold of you. I think you had your phone on at the time, hey, because you were allowed to then. And I could tell you were irate. You were trying to tell me I just wanted help. I've explained to him this. And obviously in my head, I'm going through what the process is with mental health.
Yeah.
We get involved and stuff like that. And I started asking you, so what was some of the stuff you told him? You're like, I was honest, I want help. And obviously when it comes to talking about the self-harm stuff, that's when there are certain things that need to be done.
Yeah.
And it was almost like that scene in Taken, in Taken when the daughter's overseas and she rings Liam Neeson when the guys are in the house and he's explaining to her what's going to happen. I always felt like that where I'm like, all right, Shane, what's going to happen now is they're going to take you. Okay. Quickly, yell out everything that you can see in there. I'm coming for you. That's what it was like.
Yeah.
I remember telling you that. So then, obviously that's what happened is you were held there for about a week.
Yeah. So, sorry to go back a little bit, because in my head, all I wanted was to go back and see a psychiatrist, get back on my medication, and actually work, get some help. So it was a massive shock to me, when, especially the way it was kind of explained to me was, you're going to go to the Royal, they're going to do the assessment there, which really pissed me off because I don't understand how it works or why it works this way, but we have a mental health unit on base. Why did they not do it? There could be a legitimate reason. I don't fucking know. I'm still pissed off about it because I don't know. I should probably just ask someone and then I'll be less pissed off about it. But, why I had to go and sit in the Royal from fucking, 2:00 in the afternoon, didn't get a fucking assessment. Like, I got an initial assessment done when I got there, but didn't see the psych until I think it was 1:30 that morning.
Jesus. Yeah.
That's not what you do for someone in the fucking military that you're meant to be looking after. And like, granted, they sent me with my boss and one of my close mates from work, Bluey. They also had to be there to make sure I didn't do anything stupid. Yeah. But that's fucking ridiculous at the end of the day. So yeah, by the time, I was so pissed off by the time that I'd finally seen someone. But my hat's off to I've spewing that he doesn't have his own private practice, because he was the first person that I'd talked to. I only spoke for about 5 minutes and gave him a brief rundown of like my history, Afghanistan, all that stuff. And he basically, from all that, was able to like take on board everything I had said, made me sound like he'd actually understood what I was saying. And I know we've talked a lot about, no, we don't have PTSD, and he's like, could be this, could be that. Have a think about this stuff. Like, okay, whatever. And he's like, basically, so, what do you want to do? I'm like, I want to go home. I've got a 2-week-old daughter. I cannot leave my wife at home on her own. Luckily my mother was up at the time to help her, but, and he's like, okay, cool. I'm going to go talk to my boss and we're going to come but it's down to him. He has to make the decision. I'm going to have a quick chat to your wife to see if she's happy for you to come home as well. Like, if she, cause obviously she has to, be willing to keep an eye on you and things like that. And Madison's like, yeah, I'll look after him. They came back and said, look, basically you got 2 options, which really isn't 2 options, but you can voluntarily come into the hospital, or we can enact the Mental Health Act of fucking whatever, and you're going into the fucking hospital. And it's like, well, and then luckily, I think you did explain to me is if, or it might have been one of my bosses from work, was if you don't go in voluntarily, it makes it very, very hard to then get transferred to a private hospital. Yeah. So yeah, obviously I went in voluntarily and, spent a week in there. I remember said goodbye to Blue and the boss, walking up the hallway with one of the mental health nurses, and like, okay, don't know if anyone's explained this to you yet, but you can't have your phone on you while you're in there. We're going to keep that in a drawer. If you need it, come talk to us. We'll give it to you, but you have to use it near this little fucking area. So I couldn't even have my fucking phone on me the whole time. Couldn't fucking smoke up there, which is the worst fucking thing. There was it was decaf coffee. There was no fucking caffeine. And the only thing I could get were patches and those fucking inhaler fucking things. And I was just going through them like a fucking madman. Every day, my work was fucking pushing so hard to try and figure out what the fuck was going on and why I wasn't getting transferred to the Toowong private hospital. I think it came down to availabilities, because at that time they were chock-a-block. So ended up having to stay a week there before getting transferred. Finally got transferred. We've got a really good psychiatrist there who's an ex-RMO, regimental medical officer. So he has a lot of experience with veterans and whatnot. And again, he started floating the idea, and wasn't trying to push me in any direction or anything like that. But he's like, look, from what you're telling me, there's a lot of indications here that you may have PTSD. And I'm still like, it's not fucking PTSD. It's not. Stop it. Are
you saying our self-diagnosis could be inaccurate?
Quite possibly. According to the medical professionals. So spent 2 weeks there till my medication basically kicked in, and then Todd was able to get me discharged so I could get home and help Madison, because she was fucking struggling so hard at that point, man. She had postnatal depression, still fucking does. And obviously all this shit didn't fucking help it. So got home, tried to get back into some kind of normalcy. With that, fuck, what happened after that? It's just been a fucking blur, man. So I think I got out in December. I got out of the hospital in late December. And started seeing my psych, who recommended that I attend this PTSD course that's run at one private hospital. I was still very reluctant. He's like, look, just go and get an assessment done by one of the people that specialize in it down there, because that's all they do. They just deal with PTSD. And the great thing about this course is it's purely military people that they deal with and that go on the course. Went down, did the assessment, answered all their questions, and then she's come back and was like, so, do you know what the DSM-5 is? I'm like, no. He's like, that's the diagnostic manual for diagnosing conditions and things like that. You are very high on the probability that you have PTSD because of your anger, nightmares, all this other shit. I'm like, righto. And like, look, just, I recommend that you do the course. Yeah. And I can't remember who it was, but someone, I think it might have even been Todd, explained to me, like, the guy who runs it, I think Dr. Andrew Koo is, like, in Australia, like, the top guy for PTSD. And, like, couldn't speak highly enough about this course and how much it helped a lot of people. So I was like, fuck it, I'll do it. I got to do something. So got in that course in mid-February. So glad I did that. The first day,
I'm glad when you told me you're on it. I was like, thank God.
Yeah.
Actually doing something.
Yeah. Still going into it on the first day, like in my head, I was like, I don't have PTSD. It's a waste of fucking time. And it wasn't until the afternoon that Dr. Koo actually comes in, and it's like partners are there as well, your spouse. And he sits down and he actually talks through like how they diagnose it. And he ran through all that, and like there was just little things that he was saying, and he's like, because I know pretty much everyone sitting in this room right now is sitting there thinking to themselves, I don't have PTSD. Every single fucking one of you is, and you're like, okay. And he's like, running through the checklist of like what you need to tick in order to have this thing. Like, especially like one of the things was like nightmares. It's like, I always thought, like, my grandfather was like TPI, PTSD from Vietnam, and I thought I had a good understanding of what PTSD was. So I was like, no, it's not me. And he's like, so with nightmares, you're probably thinking that, you're having dreams about what happened all the time. And you're like, yeah, like that's PTSD, all right? He's like, no, it's very rare that actually happens. Normally what it is, you can't find your weapon. You're in all these weird different situations where you're trying to fire your weapon, you can't, and all this other shit. And it's like, holy fuck. And
how
then
many dreams have we had? Like that?
Yeah, dude.
Could just be on base.
Yeah, or like waking up and I'm strangling the dog, or I'm hitting Madison, or in my sleep, like thrashing, not.
As in, that's what people think PTSD is. That what you mean, or is that what?
No, that's what I do. No, like I'm thrashing in my sleep, talking in my sleep, yelling out and shit like that. And so like after that, it's like he rattled off, like it was almost like he was like, I was the only one in the room and he was just talking to me. Yeah. And after talking to the other guys there after that, everyone said the exact same thing. They're like, holy fuck, I didn't like, that's crazy. So the course ended up running for 6 weeks, 4 days a week. Fucking intensive. One of the hardest things I've ever had to do. And thank God it's just military guys, because if there were civvies in there, that would have been way worse. What do
you mean by that?
I think it's already hard enough to relate to, like, you're in a room with like a lot of other like manly men. You know what I mean? Like there's a military vibe like of
it's alphas.
There, yeah. So it's like you don't really want to share feelings and shit like that. And I think
is it like what people would imagine? Like, you see in a movie where you're sitting on a chair in a circle and like someone shares.
You're just sitting around a big table, kind of. So there's a lot of lessons, a lot of tools, a lot of tips.
And how many are in there?
There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Oh, so it's very small.
Yes.
Very personal.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
That's good.
So, okay, for example, I think they say the second day is the hardest because what you have to do is write an impact statement. And at first they explain it. So what you're going to do is just write a statement about how, PTSD has affected your life. Yep. And then they very conveniently leave it at the end. It's like, and then what you're going to do after you've written that is read that out in front of the group, which was like, holy fuck. That was hard. So you're sitting there listening to like, you're getting emotional because you're listening to like guys who are 20 years older than you, whose relationships are completely fucked, gone, no relationship with their kids anymore or struggling to maintain relationships. Like, you're looking into your fucking future if you don't fucking change something.
Yeah. It's scary.
Yeah. Well worth it. I am at the point now, though, after doing the course, where I don't want to fucking talk about it anymore. Like,
why is that?
It's because you've like just spent 6 weeks doing nothing but talking about it. Like, and it's like, it sounds weird, but like they give you this feelings wheel, and it's like all your main positive and negative, or not really positive and negative, but like all the emotions you can feel is like some positive ones, like happy, fucking whatever, and then it's like angry, and then they branch off into even more. Like, if you're angry, it could be because of like all these other little emotions, and branches out further. And it's so weird because it's like, there's more emotions than just angry and happy. So, you know, because you're doing so much like mental fucking work in like trying to like figure out why you feel the way you do about certain things, and burrow down into it. It's fucking intensive, man. It's fucking hard. And like after the 6 weeks, you go back every 2 weeks for catch ups. And now I think I've got then there's just going to be a couple of 3 monthly catch ups now.
So you on the course still? Or
no,
so it's finished, but this is like...
Yeah, so that we will all get back together in another 2 months, I think, to see the progression and stuff.
Are you able to promote the course at all? Or?
Oh, yeah, I'll definitely put links into it.
What's the course called?
PTSD, something, dark side.
It's Brisbane based.
Yeah, it's in Toowong. It's at the run at the Toowong Private Hospital. I couldn't recommend it enough for anyone who's... thinks they're suffering from PTSD, is suffering from PTSD, go and just get the diagnostic done by one of the specialists there. They'll fucking tell you, give it a go. Like, DVA will cover, pay for it, if it's, related to your service or whatever.
Yep.
So it doesn't cost you anything. And the staff there are fucking knowledgeable. They know their shit, especially Dr. Andrew Koo could not rate more high. That he is a smart motherfucker. Holy shit. It's crazy. Still got a long fucking way to go, man. Like, I started doing prolonged exposure therapy afterwards. So it's where you basically talk through whatever instance. There's like a few different things for me, but like you talk to your therapist and you decide like which one of these is kind of affecting you the most, and then eventually you might work on other ones as well. But what you do is, in the first person, present tense, talk through what happened.
Yep.
You record yourself, and then so after you've recorded yourself, you go home. Every day you've got to listen to yourself telling this fucking story. And I got to the point where because I'm in the middle. That's another fucking thing. I'm discharging. I'm med discharging.
Yeah. Well, okay.
You didn't even. So
we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So like having all that shit going on at the moment, I've got a 7-month-old. I've got a lot of fucking shit on the go at the moment. I can't deal with that at the moment as well, because I noticed after the course, things were hard while I was on course because I didn't have the capacity to deal with. I had reduced capacity to deal with Marlo, and I was I had to walk away so many times when she was crying because I just couldn't fucking handle it. Like, it was really bad. But once the course finished, I saw that my capacity opened up again. But then as soon as I started doing the prolonged exposure theory, it just shut down again. I was getting really bad again. Yeah. And it got to the point prior to doing this prolonged exposure therapy, I had an incident on the piss. So I wasn't drinking as I cut my drinking back again. But then I had one really big night that really was very bad. And it got to the point where if I didn't stop drinking, I wasn't going to be in a relationship anymore. So I haven't had a drink since that. What was that? How long ago was that?
That was 2-3 months ago.
Was it? No.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 months ago.
2 months ago, maybe?
So I haven't had a drink in that time. I'm on Naltrexone, which is like what they give to heroin addicts to help them stop, because basically if you try and have alcohol or whatever drugs that you're trying to take, it will make you fucking violently ill.
Yeah.
So that's helping a lot.
Do you mind if we talk about that incident just a little bit?
No, that's fine.
That's right.
What we might do is we're going to have a little break.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
And then we'll be right back.
All right. After these sponsors, insert our sponsor if they're still around. Yeah.
All right.
We're good.
Yep.
All right, we're back. Back from our break. Shane, you were saying.
Yeah. So I had a Bucks party that I was attending, and my plan was I was only going to go for the first 3 hours and then come home, because after that everyone was going into the city, and that's one of my triggers. I don't like being out.
This is a daytime event too, right?
Yes, yeah. So I was only going to stay there for the first 3 hours, finish up, come home. What ended up happening was while I was there, I was like, well, fuck it. I'm only here for 3 hours. I'm going to get my money's worth. I'm going to drink as much as I can. And I had a couple of beers and then got straight to the Rumbos, which is never a good idea.
This is, sorry to keep jumping in. This is while you're on the PTSD course.
No. Yes, it was. Yeah, it was in the middle of the PTSD course.
Okay. Yep. Sorry.
So, yeah, I don't like going out into the fucking city or the valley anymore. I fucking hate it. I get too angry, especially on the piss. And, ended up going out. I was getting crankier and crankier and drunker. And then by the time we end up moving to one of the other pubs, I was just at a point where I think I actually got they're like, yeah, you're going to have to go now, because I was too drunk. And I was like looking for a fight, wandering around. Madison called me, and she was obviously upset, which pissed me off more, because it's like, just leave me the fuck alone. I just want to, and she's like, you need to come home, because she realized, like, at that point I was wandering around looking for someone to fight. So came home, I was getting into a fight with Madison, and she said a lot of harsh truths, which I didn't take very well. And I locked myself in here, and I ended up in this room, and I ended up breaking a lot of shit. I gave myself a fucking black eye, because like I smashed like a stick vacuum where and shit flew up and hit me in the fucking face, pissed me off more. I absolutely lost the fucking plot.
You cut yourself too, didn't you?
Yeah.
As in,
cut my eyebrow.
Accidental.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
And like Madison's freaking out, obviously, because I've locked myself in here, and she's called you, and at that point I just wanted to be left alone, and yeah. Well, I'll take the reins for a little bit to compress on that. Obviously, I think by the time you got home, so you were already home. I was at home. I looked at my phone. I had a couple of missed calls from Maddie, and I had a text message like, "Hey, sorry to bother you. I feel bad for contacting you all the time, but Shane's fucked up today. I think she said give me a call or whatever." So I called her straight away, and she explained to me what happened. She had, that you were out and she had plans and you never came home, and then you were drunk, and carrying on pretty badly. And then she's like, and he's locked himself in the back room and he's breaking a whole bunch of stuff. And I said, obviously, that broke my heart, because I knew how hard you've been working, and not just this year, obviously with everything that happened last year, the previous years, for years you've been constantly on a high and then on a low, on a high and on a low. So it broke my heart a little bit, particularly, you've got a young family. Yeah.
And I said to her, like, all right, put me on the phone to him. And then she's like, I'll try. And then I think at that point, you've walked out to the front. And I can hear her trying to get you to come back in the house. And she's like, he does not want to talk to you. So I think she hung up for a bit, and I was just contact through text, making sure she's okay. Because at that point, I was angry with you. And I explained to you late, like, I love you.
Yeah.
I love you,
Yeah.
But I was angry that this happened again, and I'm angry that this is happening to Madison and Marlo as well. So at that point, I was like, I just want to make sure they're okay.
Yeah.
So then maybe 20 minutes after that, I've tried to call your phone a few times, a whole bunch of missed calls, whatever. And later that night, you've called me back. And I could just tell exactly where you were and what you were doing. I could tell you were out the back having a smoke, because there was that, I picked up and there was that sound of you like taking that first drag of a smoke. And it annoyed me how casual you were because I could tell you were blind drunk.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, mate. And you're like, hey, man, what's up? And I said something like, well, I don't know, mate. You tell me. And you went, I don't know, do you remember any of this?
Yeah, I remember, like, as soon as you said that, I was just like, nah, I'm not dealing with this.
Yeah.
I went silent. And then I just went,
I said, you tell me. And you went, I don't know, mate. Yeah, well, I had a couple of missed calls from you. So what's going on? And that's when I was like, well, I've seen the photos of the damage to the room and everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck? And then there was silence. And then you hung up on me. And I got even more angrier. To the point I'm like, I'm going to drive around.
Yeah. Even in that state, like, I knew, like, I didn't want to say something I'd regret.
Yeah. And I knew, as angry as I was with you, I knew what that was.
Yeah.
Why you're doing it. He's too drunk to face us right now. Anything we talk about is not going to mean anything.
Yeah.
It's not going to work out. And I think I texted Madison and said, do you need me to come over? And she said, no, you're not going to get anything out of him tonight. He's just sitting out the back having a smoke. So that that broke my heart that night. And then the next morning I texted Madison. She's, told me that you're very regretful and everything.
Yeah. It's like something with me, because I've fucked up so many times on the piss, and I apologize, but I don't want to talk about it because to me, sitting there saying, "Oh, I'm going to change," means nothing because I fucked up that many times, and at that point, me saying that it's meaningless. And so it was really frustrating for Madison because she's not getting a lot out of me, and I'm just trying to, like, in my head go, what the fuck can I do to stop doing this shit? And like the only thing, the common denominator through everything is alcohol.
Yeah.
Every single time I fuck up or I have a breakdown, there's alcohol involved. And so more important to me was like, okay, what actions can I take that's going to stop this happening? And at the end of the day, it's pretty simple. I need to stop.
Well, she was, just so people can understand the gravity of the situation at the time. For people who've listened, what Shane's been through and what Madison's been through. How do I put this?
Anyway, you like talking.
The conversations me and Madison had that night and then that morning, she was and she would have said the same things.
Yeah.
At that point, she was like ready to pack up and leave.
Yep.
You guys have been through so much. She stood by you through so much, and it's just that cycle. And she was done.
Yep.
And to be honest, and I've already told you what I said to her, so it's no secret. I agreed with her and said, "Well, no, you can't keep putting yourself.
No,
you've now got a child. You need to do what's best."
Like, put in your shoes, I would have said the exact same thing. Like,
so I was for where her head was at that time, and I encouraged it only because I was angry at you.
Yeah.
And it wasn't till, when did you call me finally?
Oh, I think it was a couple of days.
Yeah. Well, can you remember where you were by the time?
I think it was that week, because that was like, I don't know, it wasn't a weekend. I think it was like after a couple of days I've been back at course, because that was hard. Like, that was fucking embarrassing. So you had to go to course with Madison? No, she wasn't there that week. She'd come for a few different days, but not that week. But at the start of every day you go there and you talk about your SUDS, which is basically you plot where you're sitting with your anxiety and your anger and things on a scale of 0 to 100. And you explain why, what's triggered the spikes and things like that. So you have a better understanding of when your anger and anxiety are raising, so you can hopefully catch it a lot earlier. So I had to sit there and explain to her, like, why I had a fucking black eye, and it's fucking embarrassing. Like,
how was that received?
In a weird way, like, really well, because it's like, the fact that I was open and honest about what had happened, was, received well. Like, no one, like, the staff certainly don't sit there and judgment of you. They're there to facilitate your recovery. And every group comes up with basically the same rules, but at the start of the course, you come up with a bunch of rules. Like, you don't bring up hot topics. You don't talk about, things that happen to you because it might trigger someone else. You don't, you know, things like that, just like common, and you try not to be judgmental of other people's stories because you're not in their shoes, you don't know what they're going through. So, you know, the guy, like a fucking great group of guys that I went through the course with, you know, they're all quite supportive in, like, you know, helping me try to figure out what I need to do. And by that stage, I'd already obviously made the decision, like, that's it. Because every time I've like quit drinking, it hasn't been quit drinking. It's like, I'm going to have a break from drinking. Yeah.
And many times when, like,
it's always a break.
It's to quit, and you're like, no, I'm at the point now.
Yeah,
Whenever you start that scene, I'm like, oh, what? What are you going to say?
Yeah.
I can have a couple. I'm like,
yeah,
but for how long?
Yeah.
That's not sustainable.
Exactly. Yeah. So making the, like, I've quit, I'm not drinking anymore. Okay. So that's like knowing that I'm not going back to it is it changes that dynamic. So yeah, mate. So that was the action that I need to take. Discussed it with Madison. Got that Naltrexone, so that helps a lot. Because it also helps with the cravings. It doesn't just make you sick, but it helps with the cravings as well. I guess the downside to that is as much of a recluse as I was before that, it's even worse now because alcohol for so long for me since coming back has been my only way to interact with other people. Yeah. I very rarely, like, I think since I quit drinking, the only person I kind of have gone to see is like you once, and that's it. Like only time I see the guys, like friends from work, is if I have to go into work to do appointments and shit like that. Like I can't go over.
Well, it's been hard to get hold of you the last few months, you know. And I think there was, you know, I ring you and it rings out, and I keep ringing you every now and then. And then there was that time the other week where I called you, and you picked up, and I could tell you were driving. I think you're driving.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and it's like you were shocked that I was calling you. You're like, hey. I'm like, hey, mate, you're alive. What's going on? You're like, just driving to Harvey Bay. What's up? I'm like, catching up. And you're like, okay, yeah, I'm just driving. You know, it was like I inconvenienced you. I was like,
yeah.
Right. But I'm like, okay, he obviously doesn't want to talk to anyone. And I just said, okay, all right, mate, I'll call you.
Because like at that point I was still on the course, and it's like, again, I had no capacity like for dealing with anyone else or talking to anyone.
After that conversation, I hung up. I was like, I'll let you be. And immediately, I don't know if Madison was with you.
She was.
I messaged her straight away. I'm like, is he all good? I just want to know he's all good. And she's like, yeah, he's fine. I'm like, okay, so it's me.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's basically it.
Well, one last thing, maybe to round it up, the med discharge stuff.
Shit,
That's probably where we're at now.
Yeah. So I can't even remember when exactly I made the decision because I was thinking about leaving anyway and getting a like that was another thing that was contributing to my breakdown right at the beginning, end of last year was I was going to start a business, and I started getting panic attacks, like thinking about that, like because I remember how much I couldn't stand dealing with like civilians in a work capacity last time I was out, so I started getting panic attacks over that. So I ended up pulling the pin on that completely. Didn't know what the fuck I was going to do, and then I made a decision that for once I need to actually look after my mental health, and staying in the military is not going to enable me to do that. I think I've gone as far as I can with it, and I need to swap focus onto my family now. So yeah, my proposed out date's the 6th of July. Going through all that rigmarole for the second time now, which is fucking so much fun, so much paperwork. And we're looking at moving to Inglewood, Queensland, where Madison's sister and her husband live. They've got 2 little girls as well, so it's just a tiny ass country town, which I'm really looking forward to. Getting out of the city.
Because you kind of did that last time, right?
Yes.
And I know one of the issues was when you did move last time, and I'm aware you didn't have the tools back then to deal with what you're going on. Was one of the issues though, because I remember you telling me a few stories, like the isolation part got to you.
Yeah, it wasn't the isolation where we were. It was my self-isolation from my friends and family. Like I didn't want to deal with my family. I didn't want to, seeing like everyone else having fun and getting on with their lives. It's like, I can't look at it. I don't want to be a part of it. Like, because I'm so stuck where I am and the world's just moving on without me. And I'm like bitter about that. I'm fucking, just bitter about so many fucking things that, I just it's like a self-defense mechanism where I'm like, fuck it, I'll pull back from fucking everything.
Yeah.
So, and then again, needing alcohol to catch up, and it always fucking turns into, you know, some fucking drama around that. So that was that was the biggest issue. And then also not having something to fuck with outside of it to keep me occupied. So
do you know what?
So there's a few different things that I'm thinking about doing. In the meantime, I'm hoping I'm gonna get a Class A pension. At least for the first 5 years after I discharge, which will enable me to actually hook into my therapy and start getting that shit sorted, and then also enable me to kind of focus on like finding what it is that I can do else, because I couldn't go back to like the post office. I can't go back to Boilermaker. I got bursitis in my fucking right shoulder, in my knees, like compartment syndrome. Like I'm fucked. So I couldn't go back to doing that. But there's a few little things, like I started tinkering with computers, like building computers and things like that. So I'm thinking about maybe building computers and selling them, or maybe building like furniture or something, like making epoxy resin tables or concrete tables or something like that. I don't know, depends on how fucking intensive it is, but there's a few different things I've thought of, like hobbies and stuff. Like I need a hobby. I need something to do that's going to occupy my time. Otherwise, I'm going to go fucking mental. More so.
More so.
More so. So yeah, that's my sob story, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, that's a heavy episode.
Yeah.
Look, I guess we'll look at wrapping it up in a minute, but as we said when we started this episode, it's been a while between drinks. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's been a while.
Yes, it has.
It's been a while between episodes, I guess. It's been hard getting you back in the chair behind the mic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I have not been ready to, like, I know we actually recorded an episode a few months ago talking about this stuff, and I just wasn't ready.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready to talk about it.
It was too fresh, I think.
Yeah.
But like I've said to you, because you don't get to hear the positive feedback or any feedback. Well, it's all positive, actually. All our haters don't say anything. Not that we'd have any. There's so many people that get stuff out of this show, okay? And definitely the stuff you talked about then, even more people are going to get stuff out
Well,
of
I think maybe something we should finish on then is, lessons learnt on good AAR.
Okay. Yep.
So for myself, like, if anyone is listening who is struggling, like, the best thing you can do is, like, you need to talk to someone. You need to seek help, and you need to start getting it out, because if you keep bottling up, you're going to keep fucking up. There's only so much you can do on your own. And if you keep your glass, like I do, like pretty much fucking to the brim, so that you don't have to deal with anything else, then like me, you're going to keep having breakdowns. Probably the biggest thing I learned from the PTSD course is trying to figure out how to integrate your experiences into your life, and like not letting those experiences control the rest of your life. And in order to do that, obviously, you've got to go and talk to the people who can actually talk to you. So, guys, fucking go to Toowong Private Hospital. Like, there was guys from Darwin. I think there was a guy from Darwin. They pay for his flights down, and they give you accommodation. So just because you're somewhere else in the country doesn't mean you can't get. That's not a barrier. They'll fucking fly you over there. And like, if you're doing that course and you're gonna lose wages, I'm pretty sure. Like, don't quote me. This is, I'm not a fucking expert, but you can look at getting in-cap payments while you're on course from DVA to cover you while you're not working to do the course. I highly recommend it. It's fucking hard, but do
worth
it.
it.
Well worth it.
I can already tell you're different. Like, when I rocked up this morning, and I joke about it a lot on the show, that most of the time I rock up to do a podcast episode and nothing's set up. Shane's not motivated, whatever. I walked in today. He was dressed. He looked slick. First thing he said, "We're ready to go." And I'm like, "What do you mean we're ready to go?" He's like, "All we got to do is a sound check and we're on."
Well, you can thank my insomnia at the moment, because like I'm onto my 4th different medication, because none of them have been fucking working. So Yeah, I'm not sleeping. I go to bed like at 3 o'clock every morning.
Yeah, so you're obviously up all night
Yeah.
doing this. But but still, you were positive, and I was expecting to walk in today and you say, we're not doing it. I'm not ready.
Well, you should. I'll have to find a photo. I might put a photo in there somewhere of I look a little bit clean cut at the moment, but I was a fucking hobo last week. Like my hair was so fucking long, name that dude, beard scraggly.
The aviator who went crazy. The Simpsons did that takeoff where he made planes. It's like, hop in. I said, get in.
Oh, the fucking
Howard Hughes,
the spruce moves.
Were you like that?
Yes.
Jars of pee in your room everywhere.
Yeah.
Can you promise the listeners that we will do more of these?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like even the fact that I'm moving out to Inglewood is not going to be a barrier. Because
when's that happening?
July. We'll move out there, so we'll definitely do hopefully a couple more episodes prior to that. But
we're gonna keep
now that I've got this mobile set up now. Like I don't even need my computer. I can record this onto my phone and shit. So
we can promise this time there will be more regular episodes throughout this year. Okay, we're going to keep it up. I think today's been a good day. Not only to get back into it, but I think just being able to talk about our stuff.
Yeah, like I have felt quite bad that, you know, you tell me that people are like, oh, when's the next episode? And people actually wanting to hear it, which is always weird. But I'm glad.
Like recruits coming up to me. Recruits that I'm training who I don't even know. I don't even know your name. I'm sorry. But listening to the show. And I'm like, I think I told you how a recruit squad started day one, and I'm walking around. There's like 60 of them training, and one of them walks up and he's like, "Oh, sorry, your name is Tommy Archer?" I'm like, "Yes." He's like, "From the Maladies and Monkeys podcast." I'm like, "How the fuck did you know that?" You know. So there's people we aren't even aware of that we're reaching out to. Yeah. So it's cool, man.
Yeah, I'm not that it's an excuse, but at least I think it's good now that people will know kind of why we've been on. Like an even longer hiatus than what we're normally known for.
So get off our backs. It's been heavy. All right, leave it there.
Please.
All right, guys. Maladjusted Monkeys, we're out.